but we're going to continue on as always, and we got a good show for you tonight. We have a lot of action to recap on week two, as well as looking forward to week three, and possibly Otani watch at this point too. Let's see how that 50-50 is coming for Shohei Otani. So, I'll say up front real quick, if my voice sounds weird, I'm kind of fighting off a cold, but we're going to pass. We're going to just power right on through it. So it don't matter. We'll always be here. So how was your week on, Tom?
Busy, but getting through.
Yeah, I hear that. And not even just from football and podcast standpoint, just busy. There's just stuff going on.
Adulting is hard.
Whoever said things get slower as you get older, they lied. I feel like the older I get, the more quickly things come and go.
Does seem that way.
Time is an illusion.
All right. So let's start off with the QB Survivor.
Okay. So we'll do our elimination choices first.
Immunity choices.
Okay. All right.
With Pete being absent, we're gonna start with his. It's gonna be Caleb Williams from the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams didn't have a great game, 2 interceptions, but still 81.6% QB rating, so not bad. Just 2 interceptions didn't look great.
I mean, he also was sacked 7 times.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his completion percentage was up. I'll give him that. He did better in completion percentages. But, I mean, he still had a terrible game, even by rookie standards.
Mm-hmm.
Pete's just bound and determined to save him to give him a chance.
Who are you granting immunity to?
So, I'm giving immunity to Dak Prescott.
It's on my list.
For immunity or for elimination?
Immunity.
Okay. Dak didn't have a great game. He still had a good completion percentage. He's looking at 69% completion percentage, 293 yards, but he had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So it wasn't great. Only a 52.9 QBR, which still isn't bad. But I didn't trust Pete to not try to put him up for elimination, to be honest with you. So I was protecting my quarterback here.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Basically, my list was all people that had 2 interceptions. That was my list. It was Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, and Jared Goff. So that's my pick, is Jared Goff. Yeah, 61.8% completion rating, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Not great, but I think he just had a lapse. Uh, 81.6. I got it from ESPN, maybe. Wow. Okay. Then, yeah, I need to get something updated. I must have had something wrong in my search parameters. Yeah. Wow, that is abysmal.
That's why he was first on. That's honestly the biggest reason why he was first on my list. I know it sounds like I'm hating on Caleb Williams, and
Mm,
as I think I said before, I don't think he's a superstar level quarterback. He has
yeah,
played terribly, even for rookie standards. He's played bad,
I know.
and they're supposed to have a good team and a good offense, and he's still playing terribly.
I know we've only had 2 games to judge this by, but I'm not getting superstar vibes off of him. He may come out of his shell, but he needs to do it damn soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, he is 2 games into his career. He could easily become,
Mm-hmm.
a star or superstar. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. Right now, no.
Yeah,
Like right now,
just,
J.D. Daniels is
just
playing
now.
way better than him right now. Like he was on my list of people to save because but last week he had a really good for a rookie. I think he played really well. 79% completion percentage, 226 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he had a 45.9 QBR rating
Mm,
on a bad team. Like nobody thinks that Washington has a better team than Chicago, and he's
no,
playing
absolutely
way better
not.
than Caleb Williams is right now. That's
Yeah,
not even including, I think, the 40 yards he had rushing, which is down from the week previously, which means he's staying in the pocket longer, trying to let the plays develop, which is a massive improvement over 1 week.
yeah. I have to admit that I think that Caleb might start slipping into my elimination list versus my immunity list going forward, but we'll see if he starts to turn around or not.
And I will give Caleb Williams some credit. Houston has a really good defense, and that's who they played this week.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
you're telling me.
lost, while they lost, and people are already trying to say, "Oh, the offensive line's bad. They need a good offensive line." I'm like, and it's funny because online this whole week, I'm like, you guys were hyping him up all offseason, saying, "Oh, you've such a great offense now. You have a good offensive line, good receivers." It's Caleb. The receivers are playing fine. The offensive line's not playing bad. He's
Yeah,
playing terribly.
yeah. He needs
He's like
to.
He's playing like Bryce Young is. And
Ooh,
Bryce Young just got benched
yeah, he did.
for the Red Rocket in like year 15. That's sad.
All right. Moving on to the proposal round. Start with Pete. Pete. Where'd it go? There it is. Pete's vote for elimination is Tua Tagovailoa, which I can't really argue that pick.
Yeah. Now I know Tua got hurt this week. He got another concussion.
Number 3.
I forget. Was he injured in was it the second or third quarter? Because he didn't. I know he didn't play the whole game, obviously.
Ooh, I don't know. I didn't catch that one.
So I mean, regardless, because I actually looked up some of his stats. While he had 68% completion percentage, he only had 145 yards. He had 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions and a 17.8 QBR rating before he got hurt. He was playing bad, like really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like,
The
ironically, actually worse than Caleb Williams.
it was the third quarter.
Okay. So he could have bounced back at the fourth quarter and stuff, but Tua absolutely had a game that was worth being eliminated from, honestly,
Yeah.
even before his concussion. And I think the concussion plays a part of it, but I think he was going to get put up for elimination regardless.
Mm,
Unlike someone like Jordan Love, who played really good in week 1 but got hurt at the very end of the game. I didn't put him for elimination. We know he's coming back. We know he's good enough to withstand at least like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. So, my QB I'm putting up for elimination actually is the only other person left on my list because Caleb and Tua were the other 2 on my list. I'm putting up Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
So Stafford had a 70%
There you
completion
are.
percentage, 216 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 23 quarterback rating for the week. He also played really bad and actually had a lower QBR than Caleb Williams. So,
Yeah.
I mean, It's one of those things where, is Stafford better? Yes. Was this a bad week? Also yes. Sometimes one bad week's all that it takes, and it gets you. So.
See, I didn't see that Matt Stafford had that bad of a week. He had 70% completion rate percentage, no interceptions. The QB rating was a bit in the toilet, but all right. Anyways, my choice for elimination is Drew Bledsoe. I mean Russell Wilson, who is the second coming of Drew Bledsoe. Yeah, sorry Russell, you lost your spot to the younger guy. You've been Bledsoed. At this point, I don't think even if Russell Wilson came back healthy as he was before, that they'd let him be the starting QB. I think he's just done. Anyways. Yeah. That's why Russell Wilson was my third choice. But yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I agree. All right, Russell. Sorry, got cut so quick, but sometimes that's how it goes.
Yep.
All right. Now it's time for winners and losers. Adam, who do you think is going to win a game in week 3?
So I've got Washington winning this week.
Washington.
And they are playing Carolina. I'm pretty sure they're playing Carolina this week.
I got Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. That's right. Yeah, I'm still picking Washington. Yeah,
Okay.
Cincinnati, man. I don't know what's going on with that team. That defense does not look good anymore. The offense looks stagnant. I mean, Washington hung in there with a bad Giants team, granted, but they also hung in there. They did do terrible against a pretty good Tampa Bay team. I think Washington's going to go this week and win again, and we're going to have a 2-1 Washington Commanders. So I think Jaden Daniels has been progressing each week. I think this will be the week he gets his first touchdown, whether his first touchdown pass at least. And so I think we're going to have a really good game from Jaden Daniels, and I'm expecting the Redskins Commanders win this week against the Bengals. I just don't think the Bengals can hold up.
All right, and who's your losing team?
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is my losing team for the week. While they are playing, lost to the Chargers.
Oh, there they are. 1:00 on Sunday.
Yeah. Chargers defense has been top notch, like Jim Harbaugh's defenses always are.
Mm-hmm.
Offense is looking really good as well right now. I just don't see Pittsburgh coming in and pulling this thing out. I think Washington's going to win. I think the Chargers are going to beat Pittsburgh here with probably, I'm going to say, a 6-point margin.
Wow. Okay. Well, I feel kind of dumb now, but my pick for the winning team is the Cincinnati Bengals over the Washington Commanders.
Sweet direct competition.
I I think that the Commanders are circling the drain. I don't think that they're going to pull out of this. Um, I think they're going to be the worst team in the East, and I'm not specifying N or A.
Oh, no, I mean, the worst team in the East is going to be the Giants, hands down. I mean, they're the only team I can think of that's ever scored 3 touchdowns and didn't give up a touchdown and still lost a game.
Fair, fair. And my team to lose is the LA Rams losing to the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, this one's easy for me. I got the 49ers absolutely crushing this season. And the Rams.
To be fair, though, we thought the 49ers were going to crush the Vikings last week, and look what happened there.
You're allowed to have a slip up every now and then.
The last 8... Yeah, so I actually saw this stat. I was watching another podcast earlier in the week, and the Vikings are now 0-8 the last 8 games they've played in Minnesota. They've lost 8 straight in Minnesota now. And I'm like, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have picked them to beat Minnesota. I guess Sam Darnold has finally proven us all wrong, huh? Oh, man. Like, dude, I'm so upset that I have to bite the bullet and pick Sam Darnold as my quarterback because I have no better option in fantasy right now.
Yeah.
Like, it was a toss-up between him and Derek Carr. But it's one of those, I'm like, I don't trust either one of them, honestly. Like, I think they played Carolina, which is a really bad team, and they played Dallas, which I think just had a bad week. Like, I don't know. I don't trust them to continue this throughout the season, but I've got no other better option at this point.
How do you think I feel? I have Baker Mayfield and Tua Tunga on my bench for quarterbacks.
At least you have one good quarterback.
I do, but I
I'd
win.
rather have Baker than Sam Darnold.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, I mean, to be fair, my regular starting quarterback is Jordan Love. So when he comes back, that's my starter. I just got to make do until he comes back.
All right. Moving on to Atani Watch. The Dodgers are currently playing the Marlins. They're in the 8th inning, and Otani has 48 home runs and 49 stolen bases.
Nice. He'll get it. He's gonna get it.
He's gotta.
This is insane.
After tonight's game, he will have 10 more games. One more away game with the Marlins. Then they do 3 with the Rockies, 3 with the Padres, and 3 more with the Rockies.
You know, Coors Field is a very hitter-friendly park. If he doesn't do it before they go back to Coors, I'm betting he probably does it in Coors. The Rockies also have one of the absolute worst teams in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
That's insane that we're going to get the first ever 50-50 season from a player.
At least.
Like, I hope he does. I really hope he does. Shohei Ohtani is such a good player.
See, I'm kind of hoping that he does it at one of the 6 home games that he has coming up, because I think that would be absolutely amazing for the hometown fans. But if he does it at the Rocky away games, I could see that too.
Yeah. At least at San Diego, well, if they're playing in LA, then yeah, they're home. But I mean, San Diego's not that far from LA. I think it's like a 3.5-hour drive from LA, something like that. 4 hours. But yeah, it's something like this is just always cool for baseball when you get a first of when it's been around for 100 years.
2.5-hour drive.
Well, I was including traffic, so 3.5.
Yeah, that's fair. There's no such thing as clear roads in California.
Not around LA, no. But I mean, once you get on the highways, it's not too bad. You get out there. Yeah. Shohei. I mean, the fact that you have a player that is a MVP level batter and position player and a Cy Young level pitcher is amazing. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing to think that somebody can actually do that.
I love
at
that
the
this
same time.
I love that this is his taking it easy season to heal up from his shoulder surgery. What elbow, sorry.
Because he had Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. And it's like
Yeah,
this is him taking it easy, I guess.
this is what would happen if he was a full-time position player and didn't pitch. He just put up 50-50 seasons.
Oh man.
And yeah, it's cool to watch this. Like I this is one of the cool things with baseball to watch is when stuff like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting towards the end of the season, so we got playoffs coming up soon too. So the playoffs are always a really entertaining time. So
Yeah. I'm
I was gonna say, as much as I hate fall, fall is the best time of year. I mean, we've got football season starting,
mhm.
baseball's ending, which is great because it's been on for too long at this point anyway. And then basketball starts here in October as well as hockey. And then, and then we get basketball and hockey up until June, just about. And I mean,
I think that's
it's a great time. I love it. This is amazing for sports right now. Absolutely love it.
I have to admit that I normally don't follow baseball as much as I do other sports, but I'm getting serious Sosa McGuire vibes off of this kind of off of Atani's drive to the 50-50. It's this whole I gotta watch these games. I gotta see is he gonna do it this game, and
Right?
especially now when he's 49 and 48. That means one good game he could crush it. And I know the odds are against it, but it could happen.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing too when Barry Bonds was close to breaking Hank Aaron's home run record.
Yeah.
You tuned in every game to see when it was going to happen.
hmm
You knew it was going to.
It was just
I mean,
when.
For me, I say that Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player ever. I don't think Babe Ruth is. I don't trust their stats from back in the day. At least not their fielding stats like WAR because the advanced stats like with WAR and all that stuff
Mhm.
because they didn't track it then. So there's no way to track that now. You can't retroactively go back and put in all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I don't buy that Babe Ruth was a great fielder. I don't believe that at all. There's no way that one of the biggest dudes to play baseball, and by biggest I mean heaviest and fast, is going to be able to chug his ass around at the outfield and catch balls. I don't buy it. Like, I mean, he didn't run. Even when he was playing, and he was batting, he didn't run. If he didn't get a home run, he trotted down the first base line. We've got video of that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't buy he was a great fielder. Barry Bonds was a great fielder as well as a great hitter. Not towards the end of his career, but dude was old. If they would have had a universal DH like they do now, he would have been DH. Like for probably his last 4 or 5 seasons at least.
hmm
As it was, he played the outfield and still played it well, even at his older, at his 20 plus seasons, when he was over the 20-year mark, he still played a good outfield.
Now, I didn't see too much of his early career, but from what I understand, he was an amazing player who the speculation is that he started to do performance-enhancing drugs to get progressively better, but he started off in an amazing place. And it's just one of those tragedies, I guess.
So when he first came up in the majors, he played with Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of those guys that I think did a 40-40 season. He had 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. And then he ended up going to San Francisco. And the year that Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were going when they were in their primes and going back and forth with the home runs and everything, he was third in National League in home runs behind those two. and he was getting absolutely no attention off of it, and there was nothing put on there. He actually had I think he had a better statistical year than those two when they were doing that, but nobody cared because they were in the home run race and it was steroid fuel. So that's when he decided to start doing steroids. Was after that.
Yeah, 96 was his 40-40 year.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I think he's admitted it, or I mean, pretty much everybody knows. I don't care that he did it. I really don't. Like, it was part of the game for a while because there was nothing against it at that time. They went back and tried to retroactively make it bad. Like, guys have always taken drugs and things like that to try to play better on the field. They did in the 70s all the time. They even admitted it. They had him sitting out in the clubhouse. They basically had speed out in the clubhouse so they would play better.
Well, I was trying to remember what they were talking, if it was cocaine or if it was speed. It was.
I mean, yeah, I think it was. I mean, it wasn't officially speed, but it was basically the same thing. I think it was amphetamines that just gave you like massive boosts of energy and focus. So I mean, it's like the guys from the 70s were like, yeah, and we had basically a bowl of them sitting out in the clubhouse. So what? It's the same thing.
Bill Burr has this amazing bit where he talks about baseball players in the 70s that like hopped up and like, I could see every stitch.
Yeah, I believe it. Absolutely believe it. So it's just one of those things where you just got to accept it. It's part of the game.
Yeah, and
now, but like I said, when Jose Canseco became like told everyone what was going on, there was no real rules against it. Then MLB had to scramble and then make it illegal, then try to go back and be like, oh no, these guys were bad because of it.
Yeah, that has always bothered me, where they try to play the morality police 20 years after the fact and start picking on the players that at the time I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but at the time it wasn't something that they policed as strongly as they do now. And it's that whole shifting the goalpost, shifting the morality standard is just completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Not really. There. Oh, yeah. Yes! Yep, and he would have too. Yeah. None, yeah. Even in the chase for, I want to say 72, it's been a while, when Sosa and McGuire were going tit for tat, they still were throwing strikes at him. They were not, they had no intention of walking these home run monsters. And
Chase was like 64 or 65.
that's where it started.
I
But
think Bonds later set it at like 74 or something like that. Which was I know he had over 70, which was insane. That he had 70 home runs in a season.
wow. Wrong record. Barry Bonds holds the most career home runs at 762.
Yep.
Holy
And I don't
cow.
think anyone's touching that ever.
No.
Because not only was he obviously great at hitting home runs, he played forever. I think he played like 22 or 24 seasons. And like, he was pretty much hitting 30, he was hitting like 30, 40, 50 home runs every single year. Just about.
Jeez. Yep, Barry Bonds, 73 home runs, single season record.
Yeah. And again, I don't think anyone's going to touch it.
No.
It's just, there's just some records that are unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nolan Ryan's strikeout record. Like, the closest person that came to was, I think, Randy Johnson, and he was like almost 1,000 away or something like that.
Yeah.
You've got, even in the NFL, like, the rushing record is never going to be broken. There's not running backs that last that long anymore. They don't run like that anymore. No one's ever going to break Emmitt Smith's rushing record.
We may have to do a top 10 list of unbreakable records in sports.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. That'd be so much fun. I'd love to look into that. And also, do it and rank them, because I know what my number one is, honestly, and it's not even any of my mentioned. But,
To capstone this discussion, I have to bring up a sports commentator that I enjoy. He holds very strongly the position that he wants MLB to allow performance-enhancing drugs because it's not a contact sport. Let them do drugs, put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, shut the hell up, and let them crush it. It's the idea that in football and hockey, yeah, performance-enhancing drugs can really hurt somebody. But baseball, unless you're getting hit by a pitch or a line drive, you're probably not going to have direct interaction with other players like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah. Oh,
it's like the meets the streets.
I remember that.
You're supposed to like have your players juice and do drugs and do whatever they could do to win a game and all this other stuff. It was not a well-made football game, but it was fun, and the thought behind it was really cool. It was something different, at least. But yeah, stuff like that would be like the game like that would be fun. But like in baseball, let them go for it. Same honestly with like tennis.
Oh, that'd be a thought.
Like, I mean, if you get hit by the ball, but if you get hit by the ball, you lose points. So you don't want to let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tennis. I mean, any kind of more singularity sport like that, like tennis, golf. Hell, I mean, the Tour de France is loaded with guys that are doping and doing drugs. Like, it's the dirtiest sport in the world. And
Yeah.
it is. I mean, the fact that they persecuted Lance Armstrong as strong as they did was a joke. Like, I mean, you can't. Yes, was he doing drugs? Probably, because nobody's going to win that much clean. But guess what?
Mhm.
97% of the field. He was just that much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care. It's bicycling. Who gives a fuck? It's bicycling. Nobody cares about the Tour de France.
It's a
Lance Armstrong made it
sport.
popular.
Yeah, he did.
Like, he made it popular. I'm sorry. No one cared in the U.S. about it, and stopped caring once he retired. Like, it was only a thing because of him.
Yep. You
It's,
sometimes that's all a sport needs is to get that one athlete that just oozes charisma and just draws in a crowd and just locks people onto it as long as that person is playing. Tiger Woods is an amazing example of this.
so I want to ask you, Tom, speaking of someone that draws in the crowd, are you going to go as hard into the NBA as you have the WNBA, or is it just because Caitlin Clark's in the WNBA? Is that the reason you're going hard into it? Because I can't say she oozes charisma, because she doesn't. I'm sorry, she doesn't. Her charisma was her least. That was the skill she took the junk roll on, was her charisma.
I have a 6-fold merchandising sale record that would disagree with you.
No, it's not her charisma. It's everyone else promoting her.
Oh, maybe.
It's
But
not her charisma. She is very bland.
no, but you gotta admire someone who takes as much shit as she does and still doesn't retaliate, doesn't talk shit, just like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. You just gotta play harder next time. We gotta keep it on the court. I'm like, no, talk shit. Say she's a dumb bitch. Hit her in the face. Do something.
Right? That's my point. She's boring.
She's not boring. She is a good sportsman, and
That's overrated. It really is. I'm sorry. Once you reach the professional and college and semi-pro college level, sportsmanship, be damned, man. Especially when you're that level of player, all right. If you're the sixth guy on the bench coming off it, I don't want to hear shit from you. You're the sixth man on the bench that gets 2 minutes a game, all right. When you're one of the stars of the league, talk your shit. That's what makes it fun. How many times have we come on here and said that athletes today are boring because they don't have any attitude or charisma, or they don't have that one thing that makes them entertaining like they used to have when we were kids? Man, how many guys do you remember, not necessarily because they were like the best, but you remember they just say off the wall stuff all the time, and what they would do on the field would back it up, and it was just fun to watch.
you know what's funny is
Crazy.
I just had a discussion today with guys at work about Dennis Rodman, and
The greatest example. I mean,
the greatest example.
the man had no offensive game whatsoever.
None.
That man was a force on the boards and on defense. And that man was literally batshit crazy.
Oh
He
yeah.
still is, and everybody loves him for it. Why? Because he is who he is, man. He doesn't cover himself up. He lives life to its absolute fullest.
And he had the worst shooting numbers of anyone on the Bulls, but he was still that starter that you absolutely had to have on the court because he was that wild card. He was that just
I mean, if he wasn't getting a putback layup, he wasn't scoring. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the way it was. I'm sorry, but like he had a motor like nobody else. He was one of the absolute best defenders in the league. He was one of the best rebounders in the league. He was really smart too. Like, people don't understand how smart Dennis Rodman was, and really still is.
oh yeah.
Like, I was watching a podcast one day. There was an interview with Isaiah Thomas, and they were talking, and he was talking about warm-ups when Rodman was still at the Pistons. So they're out for warm-ups, and Rodman's out there. They're doing their shooting lines and their shooting drills and everything, but crowds coming in, they're getting their warm-ups and all that. Instead of being in line doing shooting drills, he's standing there in the paint watching the shot. And they just keep watching it, and he's watching everyone take their shots and everything. And then he starts watching the team take their shots too. And he's watching them and standing there. And finally they're just like, dude, what are you doing? Why aren't you taking any shots? He's like, no, I'm counting the spins of the ball. He's counting everybody's shot and everybody's rotation, so he knows how it's going to come off the rim depending on the rotations of the ball. Who else does that? Nobody does that.
I've not heard that. That's awesome.
He led the league in rebounds for years because he knew how the ball was going to come off. He could tell when the shot goes up, and as it's coming in, he knew where to position himself. He knew where to box out.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't have that kind of talent today. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like, especially in the NFL, I feel like the game has been dumbed down. I don't feel like the game has gotten more in. No, I'm trying to think what. I don't feel like it's gotten more sophisticated. I feel like the game has gotten dumber because I feel like coaching has gotten worse. Because
Yeah.
the NFL has always been the peak of football. I mean, American football. It just always has. There's no other league that's even come close to it. But the NFL system was kind of a unique system, and it took guys years to learn how to play in the NFL. Some guys would come in as a rookie and play okay and play well, but it wasn't very common. Even high first round draft picks used to sit back in the 90s. Just because you were the number one pick, well, it doesn't necessarily mean you were going to start day one. You couldn't sometimes. Like, there was just too much to learn. I feel like the players now don't work in systems, but they basically just use the same plays as college. Not that much is different than the college game anymore in the NFL, which is
Except
why
the
guys are
kickoffs.
coming in. Well, yeah. Which is why guys are coming in and playing so much better now in rookie seasons because it's just like college. And college isn't as talented and as intrinsic as NFL is or was. So I feel like the NFL system is being diluted to fit the players that don't understand NFL systems and can't understand NFL systems.
Yeah, I used to think that college football had more crazy off the wall strategies because they had to compensate for the non NFL caliber players that were on their team. And when you're running a skeleton crew, you got to fill in the gaps with throw it to the other guy and let him pretend to throw it, but while he passes it to the third guy and the third guy runs around and
Yeah, and that's really what it is. I mean, I'll be fair to the college game. They take advantage the best they can with the personnel that they have. You're not going to have the caliber of player in the NFL as you do in college. It's just the nature. That's the nature of the beast. That's what it is. I mean, that's what it's always been, and that's what it always will be. But I feel like we mirror college so much now in the NFL that it makes it easier to play. Guys can pick it up. Guys can get signed off the street and then 2 days later be starting and win a game. That shouldn't happen in the NFL. I'm sorry.
Kurt Warner.
Unless you're like, somebody like Vinny Testaverde, who played forever, but like once he was getting older, he wouldn't get signed every year. Due to get signed halfway through the season and come in and win a few games and figure it out. But he played in the NFL for like 12 years before that as a starter. He knows a lot of the systems and how they're going to work. It's just kind of fine-tuning it after a couple games. But like, I'm sorry, guys that have been in the league for 2 or 3 years shouldn't come in and make immediate impacts.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, it's probably not going to last that long. But I don't think that the NFL's gotten better. I think it's gotten worse. And not just because they've taken the hits out and everything for the player safety. Like, I think mentally and IQ level, the game has gotten worse.
Yeah, it does seem a little more. A friend of ours used a really good word. It's sterilized. It's all the interesting parts of football have been taken out in the name of one thing or another, but in so doing, you've taken out the soul of the game. Mm.
Personal characterization is so sterile now. It's just boring. And then when you get like those one or two guys that just say whatever they want to say and be themselves, it's such a breath of fresh air that you can't help but love those guys because they're being themselves and they're not being the robot that the media and social media has made everyone out to be now.
There's a reason every NFL fan knows the phrase, "I'm here so I don't get fined."
Yeah.
Everybody knows that line.
Well, I think also a great a good example of it is Tom Brady. How boring was Brady in New England, man? Like, his interviews were boring as hell and nobody cared.
He was vanilla.
He loosens up a little bit, but now that he's retired, listening to him on like the broadcast and different things like that, dude, Tom Brady's hilarious, man.
Oh yeah.
Like his charisma's up there. It was suppressed for so long because of Bill Belichick and being in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't imagine if we would have gotten Tom Brady unfiltered the entire run of New England. You know how much more people would hate him, man? Like, people already don't like him, and he was, like, a boring, non-charismatic person. Could you imagine if we had a charismatic Tom Brady that just shoved it in your face?
Oh my god.
Won 7 Super Bowl rings in 20 years? You know how much everybody would hate everybody would hate that man. There wouldn't be, except for people in New England. Other than people in New England, the rest of the country would absolutely hate Tom Brady. Because now people are like, yeah, I like Tom. Tom's, I hated him then, but I kind of liked him. Like, no. People would hate Tom Brady if he was that successful, but actually showed his true character and charisma and persona to the world the whole time he was winning.
I still remember the first Super Bowl in Tampa. They were having a boat parade, and Tom Brady literally threw the Lombardi Trophy from one boat to the other, and everyone was like, do you realize what would happen if you'd missed? And it's like, first of all, it's Tom Brady. He's not going to miss. But second... But just the idea that you would throw the Lombardi Trophy over water on 2 moving boats.
Exactly. I'm going to say Peyton Manning had the greatest charisma or personality, but Peyton had that... Peyton had that dry personality that was still funny, but he wasn't like way over the top. But he would do stuff in such a way that it's like you can't help but laugh at it. Because it's this big lumbering 6'6", like 250-pound guy doing some random movement that you really wouldn't think is possible from a dude that big. And it's just funny to see. But like, I wouldn't say Peyton Manning's got this, amazingly overly charismatic personality. He just does certain things that you just don't expect him to do.
Well, see, that's the crazy thing is Peyton pulled a Tom Brady too. He was dull as shit when he was an active player, but as soon as he retired, he started doing podcasts and commercials, and apparently he's a funny guy. Like, where the hell was all of this for 14 years?
Right? Exactly. And you never really know, and we need charisma back in sports. We need characters back in sports. You know what college football really needs? College football needs characters, coaches. Like, coaches' personalities used to sell college football back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were the ones that were at the same program for years, decades, Yeah. Like, this coach went with this program. Like, Bobby Cox went with, like, Florida State. Or, like, Nick Saban with Alabama.
Nick Saban.
Like, you had guys that stayed in a lot of places for a long time, and like they made the program, and the program was announced to that person. But they were also characters. They were people. They were assholes. They were good guys that were just hilarious. Like, you had a mix of everything. We don't have that anymore. It's so sterile. It's so boring. Like, half the fun was just the random segments you get on like the post-op games. Or just different things, man. And there's so many more ways you can show your personality now, too. Like, you've got podcasts with players that are still actively playing. I think that helps bring people in and care. Is seeing what you're actually like as a person.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you gotta keep politics out, man. Politics and sports don't mesh.
Yeah. No, politics will kill your sport faster than cyanide.
Scientology.
That too. But no, you're absolutely right. The NFL needs more coaches like Nick Saban. And you may hate Nick Saban, and that's kind of the point, is that you have a very strong opinion about a man he retired, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the fact that you still have an opinion about him shows that you know who he is and you know his presence. It's a draw.
Right? I mean, as much as Bill Belichick didn't give us anything ever, that became his personality. You knew he'd give you like three sentence
Oh yeah.
answers or 3 word answers to a question and move on and wearing his gross ass hoodie that he started wearing back in 2007 that he hasn't washed since 2005.
It's the lucky hoodie. You can't wash the lucky hoodie. Well,
I mean,
he washed it after Tom left, but still.
right? But I mean, everyone knows Bill Belichick and still hates Bill Belichick.
Mhm.
I think they started to like him more once they realized that it was more Tom than him in New England.
Yeah, he had to start kind of owning up to that at some point, so he kind of became a little more personable.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just, sports needs characters, and characters need sports. It's just what it is, man. That level of competition brings it out. I love trash talking. I love shit talking.
Mm.
When it comes to certain sports, it makes it even better. Like basketball is, I think, the greatest sport for trash talk because a lot of basketball is literally one on one. You and me. I'm gonna talk my shit to you. You talk my shit to me, and we're gonna see who comes out on top. Like football's like that to a point too, but it's a lot more team based. And while basketball is team based, 1 or 2 great players can swing a game. You can't
Mhm.
really say that for football.
I just heard in an interview today, Trevor Lawrence was talking about trash talking in the NFL, and they asked him if he ever did any trash talking. He goes, "Are you crazy? Why would you want to amp up the guys who are trying to beat you down? I am trying to be as nice as I can to these people, trying to tone that down. And then you hear my guys talking shit to him, and I'm like, hey, back it down a little. They're trying to take my ass out."
I heard a similar story from Tom Brady about that. Especially it was specifically about Ndamukong Suh,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about he's like because they asked him who like the most athletic person that he's ever played with or against, and he's like it was Sue. He's like that man was so
100%.
incredibly fast and agile for his size. It really shouldn't even be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was so just had such a motor and was so powerful. He's like whenever I'd be be playing a game, I'd try to it didn't matter who it was, like any defensive lineman or something like that. He's like, I'd always try to tell him, like, good job, man. Kind of take it easy on me today. I don't want to really get, I don't want to get broken or anything like that. And he said something like that to Sue in one of the games, and Sue's like, man, I'm not one of your teammates. Don't talk to me ever again. He's like, okay. And continued on his game.
Yeah.
It's just, you get stories like these of guys when they're from after they're playing. It's like, dude, I wish you tell stories like this when you're still playing. It makes it entertaining. It makes you want to watch more too, because you can see the interactions between them on the field. You can see when they're talking to each other, obviously, between plays.
I just realized something. I don't know if the NFL Network still does the open cam stuff. Where they used to make these videos where they would have certain players on live mic through the entire game. And after the game, they throw together these little compilations of the player interactions that are family friendly. And it was really cool to watch. It was these interesting little comments. Like, there was one, and I think it was Odell Beckham Jr. He had the mic on, and he would just walk up to people, and he goes, "Hey, be careful what you say around me. I'm live mic," and they go, "Ah, okay."
But I guess just the fun and the characters of sports. It made it so much more entertaining than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Pete said it best when he said NFL stands for the No Fun League. And it's about the half of it these days. You can't You can't celebrate, you can't trash talk, you can't do anything, or you get called for technicals.
Unfortunately. And also, unfortunately, that's going to be the end of our episode, I think. Unless you've got something else you want to bring up.
No.
Alright. That's going to be it for us this week, guys. We will... Oh, sorry, housekeeping. We are also on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Music. We also have a Facebook page at Geeks and Greeks. Don't forget to check us out there. We're always kind of posting things here and there, news and updates from the NFL, as well as updates about future episodes coming up as well. So, like, subscribe, rate. We appreciate you. We love you guys. See ya.